hernia button. Not around
Look
here.
at this thing.
I know, what's going on? Hello everyone, welcome back to Foster the Meeple, a channel all about
Board games.
And
board gaming things.
Exactly. We're back again today with another board game snapshot.
Pacha!
That's nice.
Pacha!
For anybody that doesn't know, our board game snapshot videos are 5 mini reviews that we are doing of different games that we have been playing recently. And today, we have 3 of those 5 games here with us.
Okay, I was like, where are the other ones?
The other ones, we do not... What was the... hold on.
What's your list, bro?
What was the 5th one? 2 of them we do not own, but definitely would love to get. But we did get to play them at BGG Con, which we recently went to. So shout out to BGG Con because it was super duper fun. Right, Jeffy?
Yep. First up, we have from Keymaster Games,
Heyo.
Fuego.
Fuego.
Fuego is a trick-taking game where you are effectively trying to be the first person to get all of the fire tokens, campfire tokens. I'm not sure exactly what they're called, but you get the hint. In this game, you are going to be playing tricks in a bunch of columns, 4 columns, essentially, depending on player count. I will mention we've played this at 2-player only.
Yeah.
So in a 2-player game, you would be playing cards in the 1 and 3 slot, or the 2 and 4 slot. And essentially how this game works is whoever has the lead suit, the highest number of that lead suit, will win the trick. Pretty straightforward, but there's some nuance to that. If you play a matching number of cards, that basically strikes a match. You're going to get a bonus token, which are going to give you in-game bonuses. And it's going to reset the trick, essentially. So, for example, if I had played a blue 3 and then Jamie played like a, I don't know, red 3, those are going to negate each other. Jamie would get a match-striking token, and then I would play another card, which would effectively be the lead suit again. How you score points in this game is not by winning tricks. Depending on which card you play last, that card is going to determine what you win effectively from the other player. So, for example, if you were to somehow win a trick by playing a 1, you're going to get 3, I believe, fire tokens, and you're going to take them from the other player. The round ends in one of 2 ways. So it's the first to win 2 rounds. The game will end in one of 2 ways. Either one person loses all of their fire tokens, or all of your cards are played. However, in a 2-player game, it's not just your cards, because in a 2-player game, you also have your torch section that's next to you. And when you run out of cards in your hand, you can start, or if you can't play a card via lead suit, you can start pulling cards from your torch area. Your torch area is extra cards. It gives you some bonuses, and you're basically pulling from those from bottom to top. It'll give you a couple fire tokens, but essentially, once that end round is triggered, whoever has the most fire tokens will win the round. First to win 2 rounds wins. There's some other nuance in this. You can play this in teams. You can play it, obviously, up to 4 players, I believe. 2 to 4. You can play it teams, 4-player, as well as 2-player, 3-player, whatever you want to do.
Yes, indeed. So, the question is, do we like it?
I very much did enjoy it. I'm biased. I do enjoy most trick takers. This one felt different. I don't know how they keep making trick-taking games feel different, but they did. I liked the torch section. I believe that's only in a 2-player version of the game. So it was really cool that they added that because, again, trick-takers at 2 are usually pretty difficult to navigate. But, yeah, I enjoyed my plays.
I really liked it, too, and I think a few things that made it different that I really enjoyed. I really liked the torch because, like, I think the first few rounds that we were playing, we weren't using it very much, and then like as we went on, we started using it more because you don't know kind of what's going on in your torch. Like you have some cards that are face up, and as soon it's kind of like in Seven Wonders duel.
Yeah.
When you take a card off, the next ones become revealed, and then you gain some fire tokens or some bonus tokens as you play those cards out. And so you don't even know fully what your hand is and how well you're going to do. And I also really like the strike a match thing, which I wasn't doing in that. Remember that first round? And I was like, man, I lost that round really quickly. And then I was like, oh, I can completely change the way this trick is going to go. And in a 2-player game, you get to play 2 cards into the trick. And so, I don't know. I thought it was really interesting, really different. I think the production is amazing. It comes in like a matchbox, which I think is really clever. The art is really nice. I really liked it.
Yeah, there's a lot of game there too. Like I can't remember what they're called. Like there's these special cards you can add in to make it a little bit more spicy.
Ooh, spicy.
What are they called? Just a second here. Caliente cards.
Oh, these ones?
Yeah, there's a bunch of Caliente cards for advanced play.
We haven't played that because we're not very advanced.
There's a heat token for a 3-player only variant.
Oh yeah, that's this. It's really pretty. So the tokens are made of wood, and that's this one, right, Jeff?
Yep.
Like it's. Can you see?
Yeah, all the wood tokens, or all the fire tokens are wooden. Wood. Yeah, it's incredible production. But yeah, there's a bunch of variants you can play as or play with. Again, there's solos, there's teams, there's not solo, like solo as in like
not in a team.
Not in a team. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff in there.
Yeah, it's really cool. So if you're into trick-taking, which is trick-taking so hot right now.
It is hot right now.
So I would definitely recommend that you check this out. I believe they are going to have it at PAX Unplugged, so if you're going, you can check it out there. I'm assuming they're going to have demos so you can kind of see how it works and all of that good stuff. But that is Fuego. Shout out to Keymaster Games because they did provide us with this copy for a review. Next up on our list, we'll just do the ones that we have with us here, is another game that was sent to us for review from Darrington Press, and that is Queen by Midnight Quarter Past. Now, this game is a standalone expansion to Queen by Midnight, which came out a few years ago. I remember that was like a super hot game.
Was it a few years ago? I think it was last year.
Was it just last year?
Yeah,
oh my
pretty
God.
sure.
I don't know. The time is weird, but it basically is made by the people from Critical Role, right? And that was my chair. It sounded like a fart, but it wasn't. Anyways, we haven't played Queen by Midnight, the original game, because I believe it has a minimum 3-player count. Yeah. However, we do own it. My brother has played it and loves it, and he loves basically everything Critical Role. So we were really excited to hear that this was coming out because you can play this at 2 players. This is 2 to 4, and it can be added into the regular game if you want to beef it up even more or whatever. So basically, Queen by Midnight Quarter Past is a bit of like a deck building style game. We've only played it at 2 players, so just keep that in mind for the purposes of this review and overview. But how the game is going to work, you are going to be playing 12 rounds, aka 12 hours until you hit midnight. You have a starting deck that has some pretty basic cards that are going to allow you to gain clout, and clout is what you purchase cards with and play cards with. So you have a basic hand, you're going to be playing out cards. You can do as many actions as you want on your turn that you can afford. Like I said, clout is the main resource, so you're going to have some cards that allow you to gain clout. Then you can buy cards with your clout. You can play cards once again with the clout. All of the cards have a buy cost and a play cost. So not only do you have to pay to buy them, but then you have to pay to play them.
Some cards are 0.
Some cards are 0, most of your basic cards. Then on your player board, you also have a section called your vault, which are special cards that are only for your character. So there's different princesses that you can be, all of which play slightly differently.
Are they queens?
No, they're princesses in this one. So
because they want to be the queen.
Exactly. As an example, Jeff's princess was all about playing traps. So his princess had all these trap cards in their vault, so he could buy those and throw them into my archive.
Boggle up her deck.
Exactly, to mess up my deck. I played a princess that could grow and shrink a la like Alice in Wonderland as an example, because every princess has 2 like traits basically. So Jeff had scheming and brute, and I...
Or is it brawler?
Brawler, and I had the green one. I can't remember, but my special thing is that I could go between red and purple,
it was
but
like
I always
magic
had green.
Or something.
And
Caster.
And basically, like, you can only purchase, buy, and play cards that match your traits. So that kind of adds another little element to the game. So anyways, on your turn, you're doing as many actions as you can in order to get as much clout, build up your deck. You're buying cards from, like, the general pile, you're buying them from your vault, you have a war chest that's going to unlock special abilities. It is really just like a straight up deck builder, and you're attacking each other. How you win the game is you either kill off the other princesses, although in more than a 2-player game, I think in like a 4-player game, if you get eliminated from the game, you can then pledge your allegiance to another one of the princesses, which you secretly choose at the beginning of the game, which is a really cool feature. And but in a 2-player game, once again, you are either going to kill off the other princess so that you're the last one standing, in which case the game can end before midnight, or you are going to both be alive by the end and just count up your victory points, which is your clout, basically, and your health points. So that's a very kind of general overview, but at its core, this is a deck builder with a little bit of, like, fighting.
I would say it's a dueling deck builder.
Yes, and like I said, each of the princesses has their own kind of, like, special abilities, special cards. They all play slightly differently. And then there's also, in the center, the cards that you're buying. They go through afternoon, evening, and twilight or something like that. So the cards become stronger and different, and there's different types of cards. Anyways, that is kind of in a nutshell how the game plays. But the question is, do we like it? Jeffrey, do you like it?
I loved it.
Jeff loved it.
I lost.
But it was close.
It was very close.
Yeah.
But I absolutely loved it. Again, it falls in line with, I love dueling games. Dice Throne, Res Arcana, Unmatched, etc. This falls in the Res Arcana camp for me. Yeah, I just want to play it more and try some of the other characters. I really like that you have, like, multiple ways to deck build, so you can gain the cards from the market and add those to your hand. You have your own vault, your own personal vault with your own asymmetrical cards that you can add to your deck. You have, as Jamie mentioned, the war chest, which is kind of like your ultimate cards. There's multiple paths to deck building. It's not just like, because I do think sometimes deck building can get to a position where it's like you're kind of hosed by what cards become available to you. But in this one, you have, like, multiple piles of cards you can pull into your deck, and figuring out the strategy on how you want to do all of those is really cool.
And one of the actions is that you can clear the market or clear a vault and refill it, so you have even more options.
Yeah, there was. I do think they did a really good job to mitigate where I think deck builders can get dicey, which is when the market is not in your favor. You can spend 2 clout essentially to wipe it, and then get new cards. I mean, it's not saying it's going to be a perfect draw, but I loved this. I want to play it more. I hope they do more characters.
And it makes me want to try the new, like, the main game.
Yeah, too. It's very cool. Again, we haven't played the bigger game.
I also really enjoyed it. I think, like, it's really difficult to make deck building interesting, I think. Like, do you know what I mean? Because it's just because we've seen it so many times.
Yeah, and I mean, like, there's some really good games that are doing it. Like, Arnak, Dune Imperium. Yeah. Like, there's some bangers.
Yes, but, like, to me, those games have deck building in them that it's basic deck building, but it adds, like, meat to the game. Whereas this one, like, to be just a deck building game and to be this interesting, I thought was really cool for me. Anyways, I also want to try a bunch of the different characters. I think that Jeff's character that he got to play was really cool because of the traps. Like, I ended up drawing, like, 6 trap cards in one go, and basically, like, if you play them out, it gives you some kind of a detriment, and then the person who played them some kind of a benefit.
Also forgot to mention, there's another section of the board that's, like, your armory.
Yes.
And, like, you can have
reaction cards.
You can basically, like, build up a defense with reaction cards, which are hidden from the other player. And so when you get attacked, you can, like, reveal a reaction card and be like, hey, I'm not going to let you do that, and here's why.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. And, like, your armory also can have, like, companions in it. Or, like, to Jamie's point, like my character had these traps, and I could give her something that like it was like this secret agent card, and it meant I've infiltrated her like regime, and so anytime a trap card would come up, it would do some bonus damage to her and stuff.
Yeah. I think a big piece of this game too is like making sure that you're building your deck in the right way, because I was like adding so many cards to my deck. I'm like, this is awesome, look at all these cards. But then you have to remember you need clout to buy them, but you also need clout to play them.
Yep.
And so like I had at least 2 turns where I was like, oh no, like
all your good cards come up, but you can't pay for them.
Yeah, like I didn't save any clout, and you also have to be able to pay for those reaction cards. So if somebody could attack you, you might have the reaction, but you might not be able to afford it. So it's a delicate balance of all of the things.
Yeah.
There's a lot in this little game, and it was very, very easy to learn. It didn't take me any time to teach.
I feel like I feel after like limited plays, I feel like I take this at con and teach them 5 minutes.
Yeah, agreed.
And people would understand what's going on.
Yeah,
gamers, I should say. If it's a non-gamer, there's gonna be a lot of nuance you need to explain. But
it's really cool.
Super accessible.
I highly recommend it. We both loved it.
All right, next up from the op. This one was gifted to us from the op last PAX.
Was it PAX or Gen Con? Gen Con.
Gen Con. That is Flip 7. This is the promotional edition, so this is the smaller edition.
Which I prefer.
Which I do prefer as well. Flip 7 is a straight push your luck game. It is a race to, depending on player count, a certain number of points. Let's just say 150. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But ultimately, what you're going to do is you're going to get, someone's going to be dealing out cards, and you're going to be like, hit me. And there's cards from 1 to 12, or 0 to 12.
Yeah.
And you are basically trying to get enough cards to score the points that are on the card. So if you have a 12 in front of you, it's going to be worth 12. So if that's in front of me, let's just play around verbally here.
Okay.
So let's say I'm first, and Jamie's the dealer. I'm going to be like, all right, hit me. She's going to deal me out a card. So she gives me a 12. The 12's in front of me. It's going to go to the next player and player and player and player. They're all going to do the same thing. When it comes back to me, I can say I'm out. So I can be like, I'm out. I'm just going to score my 12 points, and I'm out. Alternatively, I can say, hit me. And then I get a 0. Well, that doesn't add to my score. But if I get 7 different cards in front of me, I get to flip 7 and score a bonus. So I'm going to score the points on my card plus an extra bonus. However, if she deals me out a card I already have, a 12, I'm out. I busted. And all my cards go into the middle.
Yeah.
There's also a ton of special cards that can come out in front of you when you take a hit. So there's a freeze card, play on an active player. They cannot do anything else. They're frozen for the rest of the round. Whatever the points they have in front of them, that's what they're going to score. There's plus 10 to the sum of your cards. There's flip 3.
And you can either do that to yourself or to somebody else.
Correct. There's second chance, so this will give you basically a bonus hit. So if you have the second chance in front of you and you get hit with the 12, you can be like, all right, I'm playing my second chance, and then you get a new card. And then there's plus 2, plus 4, plus 6, plus 8 to your sum. It is a raucous good time.
Yeah.
I absolutely love this game, and I think people are going to freak out when they play it.
Yeah.
It is a very simplistic, straightforward push-your-luck card game, but it is so fun, and it's one of those games that it invokes the conversations and the fun around the table, which is, I think, one of the best things in this hobby to have happen. I cannot wait to play this again at PAX. We're bringing our copy, and I think you're going to see a lot of people having a lot of fun playing this game.
Totally.
There was a lot of people at BGG Con that were having a blast playing it.
And it's so quick to play, and if you're curious, there's only, there's 1-1, there's 2-2s, there's 3-3s.
12-12s.
So you can try and math it out a little bit as cards start kind of coming out and stuff, but man, what a fun time. I gotta tell you, it's fun to just be like, hit me.
Yeah, like to Jamie's point, to do some math, like you could have a 2 in front of you, and then someone gets the next 2, well, you know there's not another 2. So you could hit without any risk because you know both 2s are on the table.
Same with the 0. You're like, oh, there's only 1 0. There's only 1 0 and there's only 1 1.
Yeah.
So But yeah, I also loved it. We got to play this with Nick and Mike from Brothers Murph and one of our Patreon members and Kickstarter backers. We had a great time with this. And it's also like, it can be a little bit mean because you could freeze people and like the take 3, you could be like, oh, Jeff's been getting a little cocky.
Jeff has 6 cards in front of him. Oh yeah, you're taking 3.
And they have no choice. They have to flip the 3, and then if they bust, they bust. But like, it's also a risk for you because you could be giving them a lot of points. Anyways, it was a great time. I would highly recommend it. The actual box is a little bit bigger, unnecessarily, if you could get the promotional edition.
I would also state, and we've stated this about a game like Fuji Flush, that game is only going to be as good as you want it to be. So if you sit down and play Flip 7 and everyone's quiet and just kind of like, yep, hit me, you're not going to have a good time with it. This really requires the table to get invested in busting and having fun and yelling and screaming and doing all of the party-esque things that is required to, have a really good time with these card games.
The greatest card game of all time.
They said it.
It says it right on the box. All right, next 2 games are games that we don't own, and this next one is actually a game that Jeff didn't get a chance to play, but I know he really wants to, and that is Civolution.
Yeah.
I had the chance to play Civolution, which is from Pegasus Spiel at BGG and I freaking
looked awesome.
Loved it. I loved it. This is a Stefan Feld game. And so it uses some of the similar mechanics to Castles of Burgundy, actually. But basically, this is a big civilization game. It's played over 4 eras, and what you are doing is you are kind of exploring this map. And obviously, I'm not going to be able to talk about everything because there's so much that goes into it. So basically, how this game is going to work, it is kind of like a dice placement game. So you're going to have a pool of dice, and you are going to roll those dice, and then on your player board in front of you, there are a bunch of different action spots that each require 2 different dice. So this action might require a 2 and a 3. This one might require a 5 and a 6, and in order to do those actions, you have to have those dice available, and then you play them out. Now, there are ways to mitigate the dice, just like there are in Castles of Burgundy, where you can kind of change it by 1 by spending different things. And then there are also ways to take extra actions, but that's what you're going to do. You are going to lay out your dice, take the action, do the action, which is a variety of different things. Like there's different kind of cards that you can be building out. So there's a bit of a tableau builder almost. So on your player board, you're going to be building out like layers of different things like technology or culture or whatever it might be that are going to give you special abilities. There's a map that you are going to be exploring. So there's almost like a little bit of an area control-ish element to it. But there's also almost like an Uwe element, because you want to know what you got to do?
Feed people.
Yeah, freaking feed those people.
Makes sense.
Exactly. Unless you build a farm on that specific land. And if you have a farm, you don't need to feed those people because they work at the farm and they can just eat the apples off the trees if they want to do something like that.
I love that you went to apples.
Of course. You could build different structures. There's boats that you can build to like move more freely. There's also goals that you can achieve in order to score more. This is like a massive Euro point salad game. Everything that you're doing, you are doing to score points, basically. There's also different sections of the board that are a little bit risky that you can uncover. And now this is kind of like what I was trying to focus on, because everybody's going to have some kind of a special thing that they can do, because each player board has like a special setup. And then you can get cards that give you special abilities, like I said. So there's different tiles on the board that you don't know what's underneath them. Some of them might be something good, like this elder tree that's going to give you a bunch of points. Or some of them might be like a volcano or some kind of monster that eats you and takes your points away. So there's just so much going on in this game. But here's what I'll say. If you enjoy civilization games, if you generally enjoy Stefan Feld games, if you enjoy something that's going to take you like 3-ish hours to play, it's a big play, it's a big teach, it's a big learn. But once you get going, everything that you do makes sense. It's very simple because you are literally like, I know I need to play out 2 dice in order to do this action. And then there's different era tracks that you're kind of like bumping up on, and you're going to score points at the end of every era. And what I really liked about it is you're going to basically take as many turns as you can so there's no set rounds. I'm going to play out as many dice and do whatever over the course of a bunch of turns, and then as soon as you have to reset, the little token's going to move ahead. And every time somebody resets, it's going to move ahead. And then as soon as you hit a specific point, that round, that era is going to end, and you're going to, like, everything's on the board. It tells you what to do. I freaking loved it. It probably helps that I demolished. It was amazing. I felt so good at the end of 3 hours working so hard to build up my civilization. And I couldn't recommend this enough. I definitely want a copy, and I want to play this with Jeff because I think you would love it.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. So that was Civolution. I just want to talk about it a little bit because I had the best time. Now, Jeffrey, the last game we are going to talk about is fishing.
Fishin'. Friedman Fries. Our boy. Fischen.
In German, but fishing in English.
Fishin' is another trick-taking game, Friedman Fries special, where you are playing out a traditional trick-taking game. However, in this game, for every trick you take, you're going to basically put that in your score pile, and that score pile is inevitably going to become your draw pile at the end. So if you start winning tricks that have low cards in them, those cards are going to end up building up in your deck. And so you're
probably going to end up losing the next round.
Exactly. So there's like a 10 rounds, I think, that you're going to go through. Each round, you're going to draw up to like 9 cards or 7 cards or something.
It goes up every so many rounds.
At each round, you're going to draw cards. If you can't draw to the hand limit, you're then going to go fishing. And you're going to draw cards from a communal deck that everyone draws from when they can't fill their deck to the degree they need to. And why you want that to happen is those cards are very lucrative, and they get increasingly better as the deck goes on. So you kind of want to win tricks because tricks are points and numbers are points and all of these things, but you don't want to win so many that you're constantly drawing all of these crappy cards that you win from...
Those are boring.
That you win from hands.
Yeah.
There's also like special ability cards in here. Like you can play out cards that even if you don't win the trick, you get to take the best card from the trick and add it to your deck, etc., etc., etc. But basically, it is a tug and pull trick-taking game where you're trying to take the best cards available to you in each trick, as well as not winning as many tricks so that you can pull cards from the communal fishing deck.
Yes.
That's basically the game, and it is absolutely incredible. It sounds simple. It is simple, but there's some nuance and some gameplay here that is really, really unique. Mm-hmm. And it's really, actually very difficult to juggle making sure you only have so many cards to draw each round so that you can start pulling. Because then if you pulled those cards into your deck, you could lose those cards later on by not winning those tricks. So like there's a lot of strategy here, and it is very, very fun.
And it is a must follow unless you have one of those like special cards that you can play. And it is extremely hard to balance, even though the game is very simple, because in our play that we did, like I was losing a bunch, which meant I was able to draw a bunch from the deck. So I had all these good cards, but I was losing a bunch. So I wasn't getting points like everybody else was getting points. And by the end, I couldn't catch up, even though I had some better cards, basically.
Yeah, because each round you're going to count points for how many of those cards you have in your
exactly
in your score pile.
And it's like, how do they keep making trick-taking different?
I don't know. This game I think was kind of the talk of BGG Con.
Yeah.
Like everyone that saw someone playing, was like, oh, that great. Everyone was talking about fishing. It was just like there was 2 games that everyone was kind of like playing or talking about. It was Fishing and Flip 7.
Yeah. And yeah, super fun. I can't wait to get a copy. Obviously, we love Friedman Fries. Everybody knows this. We are Friedman Fries stans, but I feel like this is like, we enjoy a lot of his trick-taking kind of party style games as well, pretty much everything. But like, this is a bit more of a trick-taking game it's a bit more chill. But you can get rowdy if you want to.
He's got some other kind of like weird trick-taking games that are like a a little bit more difficult to get your head around, like FTW and Fool. This one I think is a little bit more straightforward in terms of like trick-taking games. So I would say this one's the most accessible.
Yeah.
Of the 3 that I think we've played.
Yeah, it's super fun. But those are 5 more games that we have been playing recently, and what we think about them. We would love to know in the comments below. Have you played any of these? What do you think about them? I want to know all of these things.
I want to know.
I also want to mention, again, PAX Unplugged. We will be having a Foster the Meeple community meetup on Friday. All of the information is going to be in the description below. If you plan to come, join the Discord and let us know, because we're bringing nifty gifties for everybody. I want to make sure that I bring enough. Okay? The other thing I want to mention before we say goodbye is the late pledges are open for our Kickstarter. They are on GameFound. I will put the link in below. I'm working on the pledge manager. The bane of my existence right now. Pledge Manager should be up soon as well. But I just wanted to know because some people have been asking. But that is everything that we have for today. Now, if you're interested in buying board games like any of the many we mentioned today, you should first start by checking your friendly local gaming store. And for us, that is
the Boardroom Game Cafe.
If you like what you see,
please subscribe.
We hope to see you again soon. And now we'll say goodbye. Goodbye.
Later days.
Okay.
Baja!
And Jeff blows out the mic, and you
sorry, honey.
None of you heard that.
Hi, Bean.
I'm not going to be able to use that one because you blew out the mic.
Oh.
Do it again. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's my life. That's my life. And then we'll say, Happy Tuesday, little girl. How to Fuego.
Yeah.
And I love that it's princesses, and they're all different, and they're all badass. I know how cards work. Oh, no. I'm starting to forget. I need to look at it.
My name's Jeff.
My name's Jeff.
Not yet.
Not yet.